In the 1930s, the Great Depression hit America hard. Families everywhere struggled to make ends meet. Jobs were scarce and money was tight. Yet, people found clever ways to get by. They grew their own food, fixed broken things instead of buying new ones, and shared what they had with neighbors. These frugal habits not only helped them survive but also brought communities closer together. Today, we face our own economic challenges. Learning from the past can teach us how to save money and live more simply. By looking back at the Great Depression, we can discover smart, thrifty ways to manage our resources. This video explores those old-fashioned tips and shows how they can still help us today. Whether it's growing a garden or mending clothes, these frugal practices remind us of the power of resourcefulness and community. 1. The historical context. The Great Depression started in 1929 and lasted until the late 1930s. It was the worst economic downturn in history. The stock market crash in October 1929 was a major trigger. Banks failed, businesses closed, and millions of people lost their jobs. Without income, many families couldn't afford basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter. During this time, daily life was tough. People stood in long lines for a bowl of soup or a piece of bread at soup kitchens. Farmers faced falling crop prices and couldn't sell their produce. Many homes were lost due to unpaid mortgages, leading to a rise in homelessness. Shantytowns, called Hoovervilles after President Hoover, sprung up as people built makeshift homes from scrap materials. Despite these hardships, people found ways to cope. They became very resourceful, reusing and repairing everything they could. Communities came together to share what they had. This period taught valuable lessons in frugality and resilience, showing that even in the hardest times, there are ways to survive and support one another. Understanding this context helps us appreciate the frugal tips that emerged from this challenging era. 2. Frugal living essentials. During the Great Depression, people had to be very creative to get by with what little they had. One of the key areas where they practiced frugality was food. Families grew their own vegetables in small backyard gardens, known as victory gardens. These gardens provided fresh produce, saving money and ensuring there was always something to eat. People also learned to can and preserve food to make it last longer. Simple recipes using cheap ingredients like beans, potatoes, and flour became staples, with dishes like soups and casseroles stretching ingredients to feed many mouths. Clothing was another area where people had to be resourceful. Instead of buying new clothes, they mended old ones. Sewing and patching became common skills. Families often handed down clothes from older children to younger ones, making sure nothing went to waste. In homes, every bit of energy was conserved. Wood stoves were used for heating and cooking, and people relied on natural light during the day to save on electricity. Household items were repaired instead of replaced. Broken furniture was fixed, and old items were repurposed for new uses. These frugal habits helped families survive tough times and taught valuable lessons in resourcefulness and creativity. 3. Resourceful home management. In the Great Depression, managing the home with limited resources was crucial. People found smart ways to save on energy and utilities. Wood stoves were common for heating and cooking, as they used readily available wood instead of expensive coal or electricity. Families also made sure to use natural light during the day, keeping windows clean and curtains open to save on electric lighting. Fixing things instead of buying new ones became a way of life. Broken furniture was carefully repaired, not thrown away. Handy individuals used basic tools and materials to mend tables, chairs, and other household items. This not only saved money but also extended the life of their belongings. Repurposing was another key strategy. Old items were given new life in creative ways. For example, worn-out clothes were turned into quilts, and empty cans were used as containers for various household needs. People found innovative uses for everyday items, reducing waste, and making the most of what they had. These practices of resourceful home management helped families stretch their limited resources. They learned to live within their means, demonstrating that with a bit of creativity and effort, it's possible to thrive even in tough times. 4. Financial strategies. During the Great Depression, managing money wisely was essential. One popular method was the envelope system. Families divided their money into different envelopes for each expense, like food, rent, and utilities. This way, they could easily see how much they had left for each need and avoid overspending. Bartering became common as money was scarce. People traded goods and services instead of using cash. For example, someone might trade fresh vegetables from their garden for a neighbor's home-cooked meals or handyman services. This system helped everyone get what they needed without spending money. Finding extra income through odd jobs was also important. Many people took on temporary work, like cleaning houses, sewing clothes, or doing yard work. These side hustles provided a little extra cash to help make ends meet. Community cooperation was another key strategy. Neighbors pooled their resources, sharing tools, and helping each other with tasks like building repairs or harvesting crops. By working together, they reduced individual costs and supported each other through tough times. These financial strategies taught people to be careful with their money, make the most of what they had, and rely on their community, proving that even in hard times, there are ways to stay financially afloat. 5. Community and social networks. During the Great Depression, strong community and social networks were vital. People leaned on each other for support and shared resources to get through tough times. Mutual aid was common, with neighbors helping each other out. If one family had extra food, they would share it with others. Community kitchens were set up where people could get a hot meal for free or for a small donation. Support systems were built through lending and borrowing. Tools, clothing, and household items were often shared among neighbors. If someone needed something, they could usually find it within their community instead of buying it. Social events were important for keeping spirits up and strengthening community bonds. People organized low-cost gatherings like potlucks, picnics, and barn dances. These events provided a much-needed break from daily struggles and helped build a sense of togetherness. Sharing knowledge and skills was also common. People taught each other how to sew, can food, and fix things around the house. This exchange of practical skills helped everyone become more self-sufficient. These community and social networks showed that by working together and supporting each other, people could better endure hard times and find hope even in the darkest days. 6. Psychological resilience. The Great Depression was not just a test of financial survival, but also a test of mental strength. People needed psychological resilience to cope with the daily challenges and uncertainties. A positive outlook was essential. Many people found hope in small joys and stayed optimistic despite their struggles. They learned to appreciate what they had, no matter how little. Family bonding became stronger during these tough times. Families spent more time together, sharing stories, playing games, and supporting each other emotionally. This strengthened their relationships and helped them face difficulties as a united front. Embracing a simple lifestyle also contributed to psychological resilience. People found contentment in living with less and focused on what truly mattered. They discovered that happiness didn't come from material possessions but from relationships and shared experiences. A mindset of gratitude was another key element. By being thankful for even the smallest comforts and acts of kindness, people maintained their mental well-being. They celebrated small victories and found reasons to be grateful every day. These practices of psychological resilience helped people not only survive but also find meaning and joy during the Great Depression. They remind us that, even in hard times, a strong mind and a grateful heart can make all the difference. Looking back at the Great Depression, we see how people survived tough times with creativity and resilience. Their frugal habits, from growing their own food to mending clothes, show us that resourcefulness can help us through any economic challenge. By managing their homes wisely and finding smart financial strategies like bartering and saving, they made the most of what little they had. Now, if you want to learn how to achieve financial success, then watch this video next. And if you made it to this point of the video, please like and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.